Well, first of all, thank you very much for taking part in this podcast. And it's really nice to meet you because I don't think we've met in person before, have we?
No, I don't think we have. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's
No,
great.
no
Yes,
problem at all. And you're based now in lovely Oslo.
Oslo. Yes,
One
it's
of,
my hometown, so it's where I'm born and everything. So yeah.
Absolutely. And can you just perhaps start by describing your musical landscape growing up?
Well, in Norway we have a very strong wind band, brass band tradition.
Mm.
So that's basically what I did. I mean, I grew up in well, not a classical music home. More like my parents played in their local band as a hobby.
Mm.
I grew up thinking everyone played in wind bands, playing an instrument. So yeah, it started as a hobby, and it was very natural for me to start playing quite young. I was 6 when I started playing.
Wow,
And since
six.
my mom, yeah, 6 years old, and since my mom plays the trumpet, then I wanted to do that. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm the first professional musician in the family, and I mean, in wind bands we play everything, like everything from marches and stuff, to more classical things, to pop and jazz and
Mm.
rock, and yeah,
Mm.
it's like a yeah, mixed. And
Ah.
I was the biggest Spice Girl fan. So
Ah.
it's yeah, it's very eclectic, my musical upbringing.
Well, that's interesting that you should say that because, of course, there's just been such an extraordinary myriad of musicians who have come from Norway and indeed all of the Scandinavian countries. And I will say I have had the good fortune of performing with one of Norway's best wind ensembles. And honestly, the gosh, how can I put it? They're just so incredibly versatile, really
Absolutely.
versatile musicians.
Yeah, it's part of that's part of their job kind of. We have I think it's 5 professional military band, then we have one non-military but still professional. My husband actually plays in one of them.
Mm,
And it's really, yeah, I think it's quite unique, but it shows off the so it's because of those that we also, well, or not just because of those, but it goes both ways. So because of the very strong like hobby amateur um, world that came out of the military bands in the old
mm,
days, and then the amateur kind of whole movement of playing in wind bands and brass bands started. And then now, of course, because of this, then the level of wind players and percussion and being educated at the universities and stuff like that are really high. So
mm.
then now the level of those players in the bands are very high.
Absolutely. And we can
Yeah,
almost relate to what you're saying because here in the UK as well, there's been such a great history of amateur music making and a lot of
absolutely.
the brass playing, wind playing, choral work and all sorts of things, folk music and so on, has come from the amateur scene and it's absolutely fantastic. And we want to hang on to that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the best thing of all. They just play because they want to.
Exactly right. And I'm intrigued that when you saw your mum play the trumpet,
Yeah.
was it because, well, that's your mum playing the trumpet, or was there something specific about the instrument itself that resonated with you?
Well, I'm not sure actually because I have like photos of myself as a, I don't know, some months old, having a trumpet next to me, kind of, and several photos from when I'm like 2, 3 years old, playing around with a cornet. Um, so I guess it's kind of, I think that the instrument really spoke to me somehow because I did start playing the piano when I was 5,
Mm.
but it wasn't for me. I wished I wished I'd stayed on a bit longer so that I could actually play the piano a little bit now. But unfortunately, it was very boring compared to playing the trumpet.
How
So
interesting.
I thought.
Yes.
So
Well, it's
yeah, I
never.
guess to a certain degree, I think it spoke to me somehow. Yeah,
Yes, and I
I think
mean,
so.
you know, you obviously had your mum playing, and you started playing, and were there a lot of female trumpet players within the wind bands in Norway at the time?
It was, I mean, I had no idea that it was rare,
Mm.
because when I grew up, there was just as many girls as boys in the band. They played trombone and tuba and trumpet and horn and flute and clarinet and like everything, and percussion and everything. It was just, yeah, maybe it was more like a little bit more normal that they wanted to play the flute or the clarinet, but then
Mm.
not kind of, there was just as many. All genders were just like mixed. So I didn't know that it was strange
Yeah.
until I started like become a bit older, starting kind of seeing the world a bit, traveling, and then I was like, oh, this is actually not. It's not like that everywhere.
Mm. And I can
Yeah.
relate to that as a percussion player because possibly similar to you, there were a lot of, young girls playing percussion, at school. I think there's only one boy playing percussion, can you believe?
Yeah.
But then it completely flipped when I became a full-time student and I
Yeah.
was the only girl. But then, as you say, once you start traveling around, you begin to see how it is, globally and in different territories. But of course, as you progressed through music college and so on, I mean, was there a definitive moment whereby you thought, you know what, I want to be a soloist?
Um, it's very strange because I always wanted to do that. I can't
Mm.
remember wanting to do anything else.
Wow.
So probably from when I was like 10, 11 years old, when I knew that it was a thing, when I kind of realized, oh, people can do this as a living.
Mm.
I want to do that. So yeah, it's very strange, a bit naive, I guess, but it's just like, I had this feeling that this is my uh, path somehow.
Mm.
So I just, yeah, I played. So I was ambitious, but I also, I have it like, my feeling is that I also met a lot of the right people along the way. I had an amazing teacher that really nurtured the sides of my musicianships that maybe were not something that every trumpet player had. Kind of, he saw
Mm.
that this is something that is special about me, and he did that in a great way. Um, that I kind of, yeah, I practiced a lot. I was very like, yeah, not now I'm more like woo all over the place, but when I studied I was very like structured and everything. um yeah, and then, but I mean, I started traveling when I was like 18, so
Mm.
which is a while ago now, so
It's it's
yeah,
very,
it was just how it is, kind of, it was what it just kind of happens.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.